The blizzard didn't announce itself with drama. It arrived quietly, the way real danger often does, burying the mountain road in white and swallowing sound until the world felt muted and small. Snow pressed sideways against the wind, erasing tracks as fast as they were made. In that storm walked an old woman and a dog, their figures bent forward, not in defeat, but in stubborn refusal to stop. The woman's breath came in thin clouds, each one costing more than the last. Her coat was too light for the cold, her gloves worn thin at the fingers. The dog stayed close to her side, matching her pace, his body angled so the wind hit him first. Below the mountain, the town glowed softly. Warm windows. Locked doors. People inside told themselves the storm was someone else's problem. The dog stopped. He planted his paws in the snow and refused to move. The woman tugged gently on the leash, confused at first, then frightened. The dog had never disobeyed her. But he stood facing uphill, ears forward, eyes fixed on a single point in the dark. A cabin sat there, barely visible through the snow, one window lit with a dull amber glow. The woman hesitated. Pride told her to turn back. Her legs told her she couldn't. The dog stepped forward, pulling her with him, not fast, not panicked. Certain. Inside that cabin lived a man who had chosen isolation the way others chose faith. Lucas Reed was 42, broad-shouldered, disciplined, his movements economical even when alone. Former Navy SEAL. The kind of man who didn't leave lights on by accident and didn't believe in coincidences. He lived simply. Wood stove. One table. One chair. A photograph turned face down on the mantel because some memories hurt more when seen. Lucas was feeding the fire when the knock came. It was soft. Almost apologetic. His body reacted before his thoughts. Spine straightening. Breath slowing. Every sense narrowing. He hadn't heard a knock like that in years. Not since doors had meant danger instead of shelter. The knock came again, followed by something lower. A sound that didn't belong to the storm. A dog. Lucas crossed the cabin and opened the door. Cold exploded inward. Snow swirled across the floor. And there they stood. An elderly woman, shaking but upright, and a large German shepherd, snow clinging to his muzzle, eyes steady and unafraid. The dog stood slightly in front of her, not aggressive, not begging. Guarding. The woman met Lucas's eyes and spoke before he could ask anything. "I'm not asking for charity," she said. "Just one night of warmth." Lucas looked at the dog. The dog looked back. And in that silent exchange, something Lucas had buried deep stirred awake. He stepped aside. "Come in," he said. And the storm lost its first battle. Warmth wrapped around them the moment the door closed. The old woman's shoulders sagged as if her body finally believed she had survived. Lucas guided her toward the stove without touching her, respecting the invisible lines people like her carried. He pulled a blanket from a shelf and placed it around her shoulders, then set a kettle on the fire. His movements were calm, practiced, as if caring for others had once been routine and later forbidden. The dog entered last. He paused at the threshold, turning his head to scan the darkness outside before stepping in. He positioned himself near the door and lowered his body back to the wind, eyes still alert. He did not relax. He protected. "My name is Margaret," the woman said, her voice steadier now that heat reached her bones. "And this is Atlas." Lucas nodded once. Names mattered. He poured hot water into a mug and handed it to her. Her hands trembled as she wrapped her fingers around it. Color slowly returned to her face. "You live up here alone?" she asked. "Easier that way," Lucas replied. Margaret smiled faintly. "Easier isn't always kinder." The words landed heavier than she intended. Lucas turned away, busying himself with a small pot of soup. He hadn't planned for guests, but he'd planned for storms. Hunger didn't care about intent. Atlas shifted, favoring one front leg. Lucas noticed immediately. Old injury. Not fresh. The dog's discipline impressed him. Pain acknowledged, not indulged. When the soup was ready, Margaret accepted the bowl like it was something sacred. The first spoonful made her close her eyes. When she opened them again, they shone with gratitude she tried hard not to show. "Thank you," she said simply. Lucas nodded. That was when the envelope fell. It slid from Margaret's worn canvas bag and stopped near Lucas's boot. Atlas's head snapped up instantly, ears forward, gaze fixed not on Lucas but on the paper. His body tensed, low warning vibrating in his chest. Lucas crouched and picked it up. The words were clean. Polite. Final. Notice of eviction. Lucas looked at Margaret. She had gone very still, shame creeping into her posture like cold returning to the room. "I didn't want you to see that," she said quietly. "I wasn't supposed to be out in the storm." I just couldn't stay. Lucas set the envelope on the table between them. Not accusing. Just honest. They came yesterday, she continued. Told me the house wasn't mine anymore. Papers changed. Numbers changed. Doors got locked. Atlas moved to her side and leaned against her leg, grounding her. Her hand fell into his fur, fingers trembling. Lucas stared at the fire. His jaw tightened. He had seen this before. Different uniforms. Same outcome. Then Atlas lifted his head sharply and stared toward the window. Not the door. The window. Lucas followed his gaze. Down the mountain, a light flickered where no light should be. And Lucas knew the storm wasn't the real danger anymore. The light vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving the mountainside dark and innocent again. Lucas didn't move right away. He watched the window the way men did when they understood that danger didn't need to announce itself twice. Atlas remained standing, body angled, ears high, every muscle tight but controlled. He didn't bark. He warned. Margaret noticed the shift. They don't usually come at night, she said softly, as if naming them might make them real. But they like to remind you you're being watched. Lucas crossed the room and checked the lock, then slid the bolt into place. The sound was quiet, deliberate. He added another log to the stove, watching the fire strengthen. Protection didn't need speeches. It needed preparation. You're staying, he said. Margaret looked up. Just until morning, she began. As long as the storm lasts, Lucas replied, cutting her off gently. He didn't say the rest. As long as it takes for me to decide who I still am. The night deepened. Wind scraped the walls. Snow erased sound. Margaret's exhaustion finally won, her breathing slowing as she drifted into uneasy sleep near the fire. Atlas positioned himself between her and the door, eyes never closing. Lucas didn't sleep. Sometime before dawn, Atlas moved again. This time toward the back of the cabin. He sniffed low, circling one spot near the fence post. Lucas followed, boots crunching softly in the snow. Atlas pawed once, then stepped back. Lucas dug. Beneath the snow sat a small black device, magnetized to the wood. Disposable. A tracker. Lucas exhaled slowly. The storm hadn't brought Margaret here. Someone else had. Morning came sharp and bright. Lucas wrapped a scarf around Margaret's shoulders and guided her onto the porch. Below them, the town looked peaceful, roofs glittering with frost. From a distance it always did. That house, Margaret said, pointing weakly. Near the treeline. That was mine. Lucas followed her finger. A modest home. Curtains drawn. Empty. He drove her into town for medicine. Atlas rode stiffly in the back, eyes fixed ahead. At the pharmacy, Lucas nearly collided with a man in a dark jacket. Clean cut. Friendly smile that didn't reach his eyes. Looking for an older woman, the man said casually. Cold night. She's safe, Lucas replied. The man studied him, measuring. Good, he said. Wouldn't want complications. The drive back up the mountain felt heavier. By dusk, a dark truck appeared on the lower road and parked without reason. Engine off. Waiting. Atlas stood at the window, unmoving. Lucas felt the decision settle into place. He had come here to disappear. Instead, trouble had found his door and dared him to close it. He shut off the porch light and sat in the quiet, understanding something simple and unavoidably true. Letting them stay had not created a problem. It had revealed one. And once revealed, it could no longer be ignored. Morning didn't bring relief. It brought clarity. The truck was gone, but the message remained, hanging in the cold air like a threat that didn't need repeating. Lucas moved through the cabin with quiet intent, making calls he hadn't planned to make, pulling documents Margaret carried in her bag, laying them out on the table. Paper told stories if you forced it to speak. By afternoon, the truth surfaced. Predatory clauses. Altered dates. Legal language shaped to sound merciful while cutting deep. Margaret watched from the chair, Atlas at her feet, her face a mixture of shame and disbelief. I thought I was just tired, she said. I thought it was my fault. It wasn't, Lucas replied and meant it. The town meeting hall filled that evening, boots stamping snow from soles, murmurs rising like static. People came curious. They stayed because something felt wrong. Lucas stood near the back, Atlas beside him, calm and watchful. Margaret sat near the front, wrapped in a borrowed coat, hands folded tightly in her lap. When the documents were presented, the room went quiet. Names people recognized. Homes people remembered. A pattern no one could ignore once it had been named. The company's representative spoke smoothly until the questions sharpened. Until the lies ran out of space. By the time the meeting ended, authorities were already involved. Phones rang. Promises were made. Not miracles. Just movement. Enough. Margaret's eviction was halted pending investigation. It wasn't victory, but it was breathing room. Sometimes that was everything. Weeks passed. Snow softened. The mountain eased its grip. Margaret recovered slowly, her strength returning in small, stubborn increments. The cabin changed without ceremony. Another chair appeared. A kettle stayed warm. Neighbors arrived with food and apologies they hadn't known they owed. One evening, Margaret stood at the door, packed bag at her feet. Her house wasn't fully hers again yet, but she had family waiting now. People watching. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. Lucas shook his head. "You don't have to." Atlas stepped forward, tail wagging once, deliberate. He pressed his head into Lucas's hand. The weight was grounding. Familiar. Margaret smiled through tears. "You opened the door," she said. That mattered. Lucas watched them leave, the truck disappearing down the mountain road. The cabin felt quiet again, but not empty. That night, Lucas turned the photograph on the mantel face up. He sat by the fire and let the warmth mean something. He didn't call it faith. He didn't call it redemption. He called it staying. Because sometimes the most shocking thing a person can do isn't fighting back or walking away. It's choosing to open the door, stand their ground, and refuse to let kindness freeze in the storm.